Hello everybody, my name is Barry Bassner. I'm a photogrammetrist. I've been doing this for 40 years plus. I'm passionate about it, but a few people have been asking me about 32-bit photogrammetry, which is a technique I use. And so I thought I'd give you a few examples of what it is, how you can use it, how it fits into your reality capture VR workflow. What you're seeing here is a 3D textured mesh taken with just a handheld digital camera. The issue with producing 3D meshes like this is it's all about the quality of the image that you input. In this particular case, there were some real problems because it was wet, shiny rock, and trying to get a good quality texture out of it was proven to be a bit difficult. So what we do is we process the imagery before we put it into our stitching software. In this case, it was 3D Flow Zephyr. That's our choice at the moment. I think you can see that the quality is pretty good, but we couldn't have got anywhere close to this without actually improving the quality of the image before we stick it in. The same applies. This is handheld, but the same could apply for a drone footage, stills from ROV video. Doesn't really make any difference. But you think you can see that we've actually spent a bit of time just getting the image quality to make this texture as good as we possibly can. Now, of course, this is all part of the process. It doesn't matter what software you're using, whether it's Pix4D or Reality Capture, Context Capture, Agisoft, any of these. The quality of the mesh is always going to be about the quality of the image you input. Moving on, sometimes we have to take photographs from a fair distance away, and this photograph looks pretty sharp. I'd probably be happy to use this for inspection or stuff, but when you start to look at it, you find there are a number of problems with it which impact on both the use for as an inspection photograph, but also if I want to mesh from it. I'm zooming in now to show you what it looks like after we've done some tweaking. We can zoom in and out and show you just the level of definition that we can get. These photographs were taken from probably 30 to 40 meters away, and you can see there, we're zooming in, we can see all the textures and the flecks from whether it was enamel or paint from the clock face that was taken away. Now, we wouldn't have seen these because some of these areas, although the camera is exposed, we think is perfectly, some of the areas are subtly overexposed, and if we have overexposed, then that is an area where we have no data. And if we have no data, then you will be looking at meshes with holes in, or looking at inspection photographs that have just white blobs. Just to show you, this is a photograph taken from that, and you can see this was captured and exposed, but the red areas are the areas that are overexposed. That means that there really is no data, it's just whiteness, and that doesn't give us any texture, and it doesn't give us, and just creates holes in the mesh. And the same would apply for the shadow areas. But let's zoom in again, and you can see the level of definition we get once we processed it using our 32-bit processes. I think it's I love that. I think it's if from looking at digital documentation of heritage or inspection of remote things, then it's a perfect tool. Another example, this is an example of an old railway bridge which is moving. The bolts there is just keep it in place, but the red areas you see are areas that I've taken, and even though the photograph is supposed to be exposed correctly, 90% of it is, there's 10% which are red, which are underexposed, and that means there's no data. You can see some of the details that we've done by tweaking it. So this is the after image, and if I move it round, you'll see that there's certain parts of it which actually are really important to me. If the yellow triangle there, or the yellow square, sorry, that's a retro-reflective target which I could use as a ground control point, so I can use that for stitching, but I couldn't see the center of that because it was overexposed. Same applies in this case. We think it looks good, the image, but all these red areas here are places where there is no data. What that will mean is when I come to mesh it, is I'll have big holes, and the meshing software we use, or most of them, will try to fix that and create all sorts of weird artifacts that we'll spend ages editing out or having to fill in. The same technology or the same process can be used. You could just use this merely for inspection. But of course, if you wanted to, all these areas, well, the red areas, when you put them into mesh, it's just going to be full of holes. It's not going to look good. Let's move on to another example. This is one of my favourites. This is just a few miles from where I live. This is the oldest surviving railway viaduct in the world at Leigh Milton. One of the things you can do with 32-bit is you can merge images together. One of the problems of reporting is, and looking at photographs and things, is one part of masonry or brickwork much looks the same as another. Wouldn't it be great if you could combine all the images that you take into one picture? Now, what we're viewing here is on Microsoft standard image viewer. It's a 1.1 gigabyte image, so you may not want to download it, but you can also view this down an internet browser. Using this, you can zoom into different areas, and you can just take a screen grab or snipping tool, cut and paste that into your report, and then put a master clipping diagram in, so you can actually use just one image to guide you around for location. This was built in 1811, 1812. It's on the old coal line from Kilmarnock to Troon. Originally it was horse-drawn railways. This is built before the age of steam, but there was a railway there. But this shows you just an example of what you can do with 32-bit. You can improve the texture, improve the possibility of producing a good mesh by filling in the holes, by recovering the texture data, or you can use it for compiling images for inspection. Anyway, I thought I'd give you a little bit of an introduction as to 32-bit photogrammetry, what it is. If you've got any questions, if you've got any comments, if you want to know more about it, please drop me a line, either PM me at LinkedIn, or you can drop me a line at my email address and be happy to help. We do training courses on this if you want to try it, but just if you've got any questions, just drop me a line.